Right, I have an idea. Citrus, where are you? First of all, I like to assign this to a mixer track and cut the low end of any sample we might have in here. That is like this, is dB per octave, so it's increasing the more you go down. So we're gonna do the opposite and we achieve a nice natural curve. Just follow the spectrum. Make sure you aim for a straight line, flat line, most of the times. And from here we also choose the scale. That's nothing we want. On the pattern mode, right click piano roll. If you haven't got the ghost enabled, the ghost notes, just go to view, ghost notes, alt and V. And we can just copy this over, and that should be okay for now, and then we blend it after that. Now we do the same here for the sub. We're not gonna copy this time. Why? Because the sub needs a different thingy, not really closed, and also this one has to start from 0 and come up to something, to volume. Okay, like this. There we go. And then we copy this over. Remember, we have a slide note, so this has no volume, as you see down there. This one has volume, and this again turns the sample's volume down. Yeah, like this, no volume at all as well. Try to automate this and make it natural, make it sound natural. Don't make everything be the same, you know. Try to add some variation. Right, let's find some vocals in a way. We're just trying to replicate the bass pattern, right? And then we adjust it from there. And then we change with a new vocal and see what parts we can properly find to make something out of them. Let's try a different stretch mode. Let's add the reverb here. Of course, we gotta sidechain this. There is this nice top end that's rich and nice. Right, let's check the note. It has to be D. We go on the master, we add a G tune, or you can use the tuner from FL Studio, but this is crap, I'm telling you. We need this sample to be in D, so from G we go to D. Let's say G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Semitones down, so we used to be in 300 Hertz, and down 500 that would be minus 200. D sharp. So if we have D sharp, the song can be in D minor, and what we do is just go in here. So the scale is D sharp minor melodic, right? Let's find a bass now. Let's try the old school Serum, not the Serum 2. Let's put the reverb on it, not the reverb from Serum. Let's try like this. Reset everything. Let's add the wave shaper. We boost this up a bit. On OTT, although actually we can install it. Actually, let's try from Serum in effects, right? Let's add the operator number 2 in place. Let's put this up 2 octaves. We do the same. Oh boy. I need a stronger reverb there. I need this reverb on a different thingy. So what we do is just drag it from here. Mix a track on number 10. We go on number 10 and we basically delete. Actually, we leave the EQ there so we can check what the reverb is doing, and we delete the wave shape. Right, so we keep the reverb here. Flute, reverb for flutes. We go back on the flutes. This is the flutes. We delete the reverb from here. We just basically have a send from here to the reverb. We take the reverb, we turn the dryer all the way off, so we can only hear the wet. And then with the routing is also creating a sidechain. So what we do is we either get Soothe to do the sidechain or the Fruity limiter, which is basically a volume sidechain. The difference between Soothe and limiter is that Soothe is creating the sidechain by using the frequency automation, basically, not a volume automation. Okay, we go here, there, into processing. We choose the flute sidechain, which is coming from the flute base. We go back into the VST. We turn on the sidechain, and now we have signal into the reverb, and Soothe should be put it all the way after the reverb, so we can turn down the reverb whenever we need it, right? And we basically play with these knobs until we achieve something properly. But we can see we have loads of artifacts, so the oversample has to be here, but the CPU has increased if you look at this notch here. You see? So that's sidechaining with Soothe. Now let's do the sidechaining with the limiter. We go into the compressor. You see the limiter has nothing, has the curve, but the compressor has the sidechain. Right click, choose the flute. This is the sidechain of the flute on the reverb track. Sidechain from the flute on the reverb track where we have the limiter loaded. Simple and clear. We play with the attack and release on the compressor side of things after we play with the threshold. The knee affects the wet and dry knob. It acts as an upper compressor or down knob compression. From here to there, it acts as a wet knob. How effective should the compression be? The ratio is basically limiter or compressor. No ratio, limiting. Brick wall limiting. This is what we need, this effect. We get this with the release knob. 30 milliseconds is already too much. We need to have this effective as soon as the attack of the synth is coming through, right? We need more distance from the reverb. Although this reverb is not good for this, I'll definitely go with the Valhalla plates. We can have this. Turn this off. Size. We can increase the lows from here, 10k, because after 10k, if we add this reverb, it's gonna clash with the hats, right? Like this, so we don't need to clash in there. So what we do is just keep it where it is, and this is for drums or vocals or anything, and we play with it from here. We aiming to cut the harsh frequencies at 3.5. This is what they are. Remember this number, 3.5, right? In this case, apparently, is where the most concentration of light is. Color, whatever. Okay, that should be it. 10k, where the hats are. Let's play with the stereo image now. We drag the compressor down to have effect after the dimension. Although I don't think it's too much of a difference from my experience. It does the same thing. However, I've seen this in most tutorials and most engineers use it first up there. When you play with the image, you gotta look on the span, bro. You need to have, you see this distance from here to there, you need to have this as a headroom for mastering when you master the track. So basically, I think it's too much in my opinion here. But depending on the case, we can definitely increase it for this tutorial, just so you can see how the final result is gonna sound. I don't think it's gonna affect too much, so it should be fine. We can try one more thing, increase the 16 here and play with the detune. Of course, we're gonna sidechain this to the other effects so we can have it cut through more clearly and do a different EQ as many times as we need. Let's try an OTT on it. Let's end this note here, the whole progression. Like this. we cut the low frequencies if you want to keep it like this. You see, the more the song progresses, we gotta change things in it, you know. Right, before we go into drum fills and everything, we gotta finish this part of the drop, right? So we have this vocal here. I think I want to change it. Try a different variation of this, like this. This is going on number 8. We're gonna go there as well with this one. Select them all, just drag them like this. We need more girth in here. Let's add a load overdrive on this main synth, a soft clipper. We're gonna clip sound godizer. Let's try to add an effect on this. Right, so that's fine. The reverb. Let's find a different variation of this. We need to make it more crispy. We need to make it faster. I feel like we still need a lot of reverb in here, so we gotta be a bit careful with this threshold knob. Right, what we need to add here is a Pro Q4, so we can look after the sides of that verb, right, just like that, and we make this a side. Remember, we're playing with the verb here, so this is what we are only affecting on this track, okay? That's a bit too much, so we put it down. Let's consider if we turn down the verb, how we're gonna look into the stereo. That's a bit not good, I would say. So we go into the mixer track, we have the Pro Q like this and one like this, and we make them both side, okay? So we can craft the proper image here. Let me detach this. Let's look right off the bat here. Remember, we're only affecting the sides, yes? We gotta tame this harshness. Right here on the EQ, you got this knob here. Press shift after you click that. So space, shift and click. And mouse wheel, but it doesn't work like in the Pro Q. When you do the EQ, just make sure you balance out the spectral shaping of everything, right? Make sure everything is as smooth as possible at the top. We need more lows in here as far as span is telling us, around the 100k, 1000. Until we get the flat line of response. So that should be our main guide. We close everything. Everything is fine. Let's enable the verb. Let's increase the, let's check on the inside what it has to say. We can definitely push this a bit louder. The kick needs to have this a bit down. We still need to tame the highs of the lows of the flute. Gotta chop it down if we want to increase the volume, but I think it's way too loud. Although you can mix and leave it like that. You just set the low end of the kick. The low end of the kick and the sub is what's taking a lot of limiting power. It limits how much you can push, because here you see the whole cycle of the low end. Here you see 20k, the resolution is way higher, but here you got 20 hertz, here you got 20 kilohertz, so that's the whole difference. And this is your main obstacle in production, the low end and the muddiness area. The muddiness is just what you don't need. That's gonna be amplified, and that's stopping you from achieving your loudness. So that's clipping for sure, so we turn it down a bit. That should be fine, and then we turn the sub back on. We look on the spanner. The sub can be pushed a bit more until it reaches this line here. That's fine. Right, so that's the mix. Let's find a new layer for this thing. I don't like this. Let me choose a different thingy. I think this is gonna stay like this because I think I like it, you know. I just need a limiter, no MX limiter, but normal limiter. So the song would start something like this. Now I think the hi-hats needs to go a bit louder. These hats. Need to change these hats, I don't like them. Let's try overdrive, not overdrive. Actually, let me create a new track here. Insert one. We copy this, we turn this into, we make this a ghost. We copy this and we simply copy the notes from here to there, like this, you know. It's an old trick, a nice trick to surf through the used instances of the plugins. Now, let me find another variation of this. Let me try a different preset on the Serum and that's it. I think it's gonna be fine. Right, let's do something else here. Here I'm gonna add some drums, basically, like a drum fill. Make sure you download yourself some drum fills. Right, we take this, we just use the time knob and we make it shorter. So we can use just this bit here. We just adjust the volume to have more impact like this. This simple. We remove some of the lows so we can blend it better with the mix, and we can definitely increase the volume. You have to make these tails like properly so they can snap better into place, like snap the sound, you know, like. And just a tiny win like this. Because when you play with the drums, with percussion, you need to have this to remove the clicking effect. You will have clicking on some samples, so it's mostly a protective measure to deal with this. Let's find the proper sample here as well, like this. Now, we need to remove the sub from this part here. So we make this pattern unique and remove the sub because we already have the sub down there. We gotta make sure it's not clipping, right? It's close to 0. So let's add a soft clip on this, just preventive. Let's add more low end. We need to put this, make this unique and put it like 200 semitones down or 100. It's better.